How's it going, guys? Welcome to the Weeb Lounge, and I've got a lot of stuff going on right now. Okay, all the water cooling stuff for the 3090 rig has showed up. Radiators, blocks, pumps. 2 more rigs to slap together, a whole bunch of fans, and thermal pads galore. Yeah, I did have more thermal pads than this, but I've gone through so many. I think I've gone through like 5 packs of this, let's see, 3 or 4 packs of this. I mean, 2mm and 3mm seem to be the biggest ones or whatever. And then I have these fillers or whatever. I haven't used any 1mm at all, so don't know if and when I'll need that, but whatever. Because when I do thermal pads in video cards, I generally put thermal pads, I replace the thermal pads on the memory, and that's about it. That's the primary thing. You know, a lot of people replace all the thermal pads on voltage regulators, all the other things, right? And you don't really have to, but people do, more thorough, whatever. The idea is to get your memory temps down, all right? That's the big thing. Get your memory temps down. If you got that under control, the rest of it you don't have to worry about, as long as, you know, those other parts aren't overheating either, and chances are they're not. So we don't worry about that. A whole bunch of other components, more risers, let's see, a lot of cables that I thought I need and I was using, and now I don't really need because I went to the server power supply, so I don't really need any of that. Look at all these PCIe cables, server power cables. I got a ridiculous amount of them. I don't need that many, at least not yet. But here's the thing. All right, the 3090 rig. Now I got these not mining anymore, at least not for now while I record, because it's so loud in here now. It's so loud, and there's nothing you can really do to fix that, because the primary noise is coming from the server power supplies. Nothing I can do about it. It needs power. It needs to do what it does. But here's the thing. This rig, all 3090s, and this whole thing is going to be water cooled. I've kind of committed to it, because remember that FedEx mess up when I ordered a whole bunch of water cooling components? Well, originally I was going to SLI to the 3090s in my gaming rig, right? And unfortunately, because of the way the motherboard is and the way that the water blocks themselves work, I can't really do it. There's basically not enough space in between. Doesn't matter if I do a 3 spacing SLI or 4 space, there's just not enough space to do that. Like, I can, in the motherboard I have, I can do a 3 spot, like a 3 slot SLI bridge, but the water cooling bits for these guys, there's a little, on top, there's a bridge, right? And it has to go in one and out the other. There's no moving that around. It has to follow a pattern. So on every single card, it's like in, out, in, out. And if I put 2 side by side, like here and here, well, there's not enough space in between to actually put anything with a 3 slot. Now, a 4 slot I could, but my motherboard, the PCIe slots that I'm currently have, doesn't have an X16 on that 4 spacing, so I can't get the kind of performance I want out of it. But there are options to get. If I get like an MSI Godlike freaking motherboard, and it's literally called Godlike. These motherboards are like $1,000 a pop or more, and I don't think they make them anymore, even though they're fairly new. So I don't know what the deal is, but yeah, we're probably not going to go that route at this point. So the gaming rig stays at 3090. That's more than anyone in the world needs. I was just doing going to do SLI because I could, but yeah, there's no point into it. So I put that on the shelf. But these guys, all right, these are all the Bykski brand. This thing, all right. Now the one card that I have water cooled and the couple radiators that I have, it works great in the gaming rig. Temperatures are real low. I've never had a problem with it. The components are solid. I mean, it was a real pain getting the water block onto 3090, but a little bit of that fault was due to my own inexperience putting out a water block, since I haven't water cooled anything for like 10 freaking years, right? Well, I know what I got to do now, so the rest of them will be fine. Here's the deal. All right. This is the water pump. Now, this is all Bykski stuff, right? And they probably love me at this point, because I ordered a total of 3 of these pumps, 9 water blocks, and let's see, for 6 radiators, okay? But to do the 3090 rig itself, I got 4 radiators, 8 GPU blocks, of course, 2 pumps. That's going to be what's in it. Now this, I really like this thing, all right? Now this pump, it's got a little built-in temperature LCD down here. That'll be in real time. It's got the reservoir and the pump itself all built in. But what I really like is the bracket. Now, you can use this bracket or another one it gives you, but here's what it does, all right? It's the same bracket size as a 120 millimeter fan. So if you go to like here, you can see it line up. Well, you probably can't see it line up on that thing because the LEDs are bright as hell. See? Look at that. It just sits right over it. The fan still remains functional, and you can just have it sitting on there. And it'll just sit. Just like that. See? Now, this thing actually works really well. Now, they all have like these LED components to it, but the LED components you can just take off. And that's actually what I'm going to do. I'm not going to be using the LED components because, 1, more power, and 2, you need a special hub for the way they do these. It's like I don't know where the plug's at, but it's a different weird plug, and I am not going to mess with it. I didn't mess with it in the gaming rig. Let's see, where is this thing? This is the plug it is. Okay? You guys probably can't really see that for nothing. But it's not like a standardized plug that I'm used to with RGBs. They sent me a hub somewhere, I think, but I'm just not going to bother with it. Like I said, it uses up more electricity. I've got enough LED crap over there. We're not worried about that. And it's not like the super best anyways. Okay, so there's that. The water block is dual-sided. Okay, this is just the front side. All right, this sits on the front side. They're fairly easy to install once you know what you're doing, okay? And the way this guy works, this is on the front, there's another plate on the back, and there's a little thing that sits on top like this that connects the two, so it keeps a water pattern going through. Perfect flow, and it works great. On the gaming rig, my God, it works perfect. And the temperatures are fucking awesome. Awesome. So these are specifically made for the 3090 EVGA for the Win 3s. Now, different boards need different things, but these are specific to it. And if you think about it, do you really need to water cool the backside? Could I save some money with that? Well, if you're talking 3080s, 3070s, anything else other than a 3090, yeah, you only really need to water cool one side and then thermal pads on the backside or something like that, for the most part, okay? But the 3090s are a little bit more unique because there is memory on the rear of the card. And here's the thing it's almost like, it feels like a fatal flaw of the 3090s, all right? So the 3090s, you know, if you go back here, these are 3080s, right? There's no memory anywhere around this. Now, I got thermal pads in there that I've done because you can still draw heat out of it, and it really, really helps. But there's no actual chips on the back. But the same thing with the 3090, and you know, you can't see it because it's covered, but there are memory around here. You gotta remember, the 3090s have, you know, these guys got like, what was it, 10 gigabytes or whatever, whereas these guys have like 24 gigabytes, so you gotta put them somewhere, right? And on the rear is where they put it, but they don't put anything to go with it. You know, there's no active cooling. That's where the water blocks come in. Now they'll be actively cooled and cooled very, very well. Now check this guy out. Okay, this is a humongoloid freaking radiator. My God, look how thick that. Look at this. Well, let me bring this over here. Okay, that's the thickness of a 3090. There's the radiator. Okay, it's the same pretty much thickness as that thing. This thing is freaking huge. It's 120 millimeter fan, 360. And here's what I'm going to do with it. I got 4 of these. 4 of these for one rig. Basically one giant radiator to cool 2 cards. Should be all right. Here's what we're going to do. It's going to mount to the front like that. There's going to be one here, one here, one here, and one here. And they're going to sit just like this. I need to adjust things a little bit, but that's how they're going to sit, and the air is going to go through this way. Now, I wanted to actually pull air this way, but since the AC unit is there pumping stuff in, and it's not like I can move the AC unit, I'm going to basically have to make do there. So we're going to be pushing air in through there. I got a ridiculous number of fans. And let's see, radiator, pump, radiator. open space, radiator, pump, radiator. That's basically what we're going to do, I think. I might do like pump, radiator, something. It's still fresh in my mind. I'm still figuring it out exactly, but essentially I'm going to be reversing this bracket, moving it up a little bit, and everything is going to be mounted to this metal bracket. Oh man, I like this metal bracket because it's not the flimsy, stupid thing like this. See? But there's a drawback. Now, the metal one, it's really sturdy, it's really awesome, but spacing for the cards, right? My EVGA ones, anything EVGA, 3080, 3090, it has fit just perfectly fine. But look at this. Zotac cards, it's butt up against that. Butt up against it, butt up against it. MSI cards, ow, pressing up against it. Oh, little tip for you guys with these Zotac cards. These fans will cut you. Okay, I healed, but I was like doing something here. My finger, like right on the tip edge of by the fingernail, caught that fan, sliced it. It was bleeding like mad. Those fans are dangerous. It's like put a cover over that Zotac. Okay. You can actually get injured from these damn things, okay? I mean, it's not like it's life-threatening as far as I know. I mean, it's a cut from a fan blade, whatever. But yeah, I would have appreciated like a little bit better of a shroud there. Like, woo, that hurt. But as you see over here too, look at that. It's just sitting right on that. So the 3090, this whole rig is going to be water cooled. I have these these things are just huge. The video probably doesn't do them justice. They're ridiculously big. So this is just ridiculous. But I need to get some more distilled water. I got my treatment stuff or whatever for the distilled water. It's going to be epic. Oh man. But hopefully, here's the thing. Now, if you guys want to do some water cooling, okay, like on a 3090 rig or just a couple of 3090s, if you have one in your gaming rig, sure, go ahead and do it. If you actually have a rig with 3090s in it, unless you're having thermal issues, I actually recommend don't do it. Okay? Because like the amount of hash rate you're going to be able to get above and beyond, thanks to the water cooling, it's actually fairly limited, not really worth the cost of water cooling. And I'm able to do this fairly cheap because all this Bykski stuff is basically from AliExpress. It's relatively cheap compared to name brand stuff, and it works great. So, you know, the cost is okay, but otherwise not so much. All right, so if you guys got a rig and your thermals are under control for your 3090s, I say leave it be. Here's the reason why I'm doing this. The whole FedEx mess up thing that I mentioned just earlier, long story short, I wound up with 3 extra water blocks and an extra pump. And they're just literally sitting here, okay? So I'm like, well, I have 3 water blocks, not like I can send them back, and an extra pump. What do I do with them? What do I do with them? Do I build somebody else a rig? Do I build another gaming rig for myself, which would make no sense? So I'm sitting here thinking, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and water cool the whole 3090 rig. You know, so I need another pump, the radiators, and 5 more blocks. Yes, the cost is there, but I mean, when you already have some money sunk into it, it's like, well, either they sit here being worthless or I go ahead and use them, right? So that's what my decision was. Like, share, subscribe, hit that notification button, guys. Not only do I have that to work on, which I'm not going to be working on right away, I still have thermal pads to take care of. Now, the cool thing is, thermal pads and this whole guy replaced. The 2 down here have been replaced. Those are both 3090s, and for whatever reason they run hot, so they are there. All the thermal pads in this guy have been replaced. None in the 3090 because they will be replaced when I do the water cooling, so it's not like doing that again is all good. All of them here have been replaced except for the MSI guys. I haven't touched the MSI guys. This one I still have to work on. So once I get all this taken care of, all the thermal pads on the normal cars taken care of, then we hit the water cooling setup. And, oh man. Right now these guys run at about, I would say, 122 to 123 megahertz, right? That's about normal for these guys. I'm hoping with the water cooling to hit 128 to 130 on average for these guys. That's pretty much what's going on in my gaming rig. But the problem is that it tends to get a little unstable at that point. So whether or not I can get there, not quite sure. We will find out soon, and we'll see you in the next video.